So tonight I'm going to show you one of my easy go-to dinners. It's vegetarian, and I mean, the reason I make it is because I have a freezer full of meat. I buy meat from the farmer's market. I don't buy it thawed. And some days I forget to thaw the meat. Also, I like to eat, non-meat meals on occasion. Anyway, so I thought I'd share with you kind of my easy go-to meal for me and my husband. And it involves chickpeas and a little bit of spice and some other things. So I've got the rice cooking at the moment, or at least getting going. I don't have the lid on it yet, but let me show you what the ingredients are that I like to use for this recipe. Oh, I guess you could call it spicy chickpeas over rice. I mean, I kind of created it, so I don't really have a name for it at the moment. Maybe I'll think of one by the time I publish this. Okay, let's go see. All right, so it's a small space, so let me show you my ingredients. One of them is chicken broth that I made, and I actually put them in little heart-shaped cubes. I bought these things, I bought the heart-shaped cupcake dish. There's another one. I bought a heart-shaped cupcake dish, pan, I should say, last year, and I wanted smaller size chicken broth cubes for cooking, and I used it. I'll show you the pan later. But I just keep this bag of smaller bits of chicken broth in here I use for stir frying or whatever, and this is homemade chicken broth. I may have to add some water to it, but I just feel like it really has good nutrients and it just makes it taste better. But you can use water with a chicken bouillon cube, which I'm still going to add chicken bouillon to this. You can do whatever mixture you want, but this is my one little bit of homesteading from scratch kind of part. All right, let me put this in the freezer and I'll be right back. Now, I just kind of made this up as I went, so it's really whatever is your flavor preference, go with that. But this is what I use. So like medium-sized saucepan or whatever kind of thing you think you'll need for your portions. 1 to 3 cans of garbanzo beans or chickpeas drained. I prefer to use actually Rotel diced tomatoes with peppers in it, but we didn't have any at the moment, so I'm using crushed tomatoes. And in the summer, when my garden's going strong, I use garden tomatoes. As far as spices go, of course you want salt, you want pepper, those are obvious ones. This is one of my secret sauce things, is chili garlic sauce. If you don't have this in your life, if you don't have this in the kitchen, you want it. Trust me, as long as you can handle a little heat. But oh, the flavor this imparts, it's so good. Then the stuff everybody should have on hand, some cumin, ground cumin. Now I should say the days where I'm feeling a little bit more energetic, I'll actually take cumin seeds and grind them myself because that tastes better. But ground cumin, again, same thing for garlic. I'm using garlic powder, but I prefer to use cloves. But again, on nights where I'm in a rush and I just want to get it made, garlic powder it is. My husband isn't a fan of onions, so I've had to learn to adapt. You could use diced onions in this recipe and it would be delicious, but I resort to onion powder in my dishes to get a little bit of that onion flavor in without upsetting my husband. As long as it doesn't taste like onions, he's usually okay with it. Some other optional things you can add, smoked paprika. Look, you can see I use smoked paprika in so many things. Whenever you want food to have sort of a smoky taste, this is the thing to do. And then I like to do a chicken bouillon cube, or if I have it on hand, which I'll probably use tonight instead, I like to do better than bouillon, a spoonful of better than bouillon chicken broth or chicken bouillon, because this stuff has a really good good depth of flavor to it. All right, so I think I've gone through all the things. Oh, and then there's this other thing that I put in on occasion, depending on how spicy I want it. You can get a harissa paste or sauce. It's sort of a Mediterranean paste. This has water, paprika, cayenne, sea salt, olive oil, a cerola berry, which I don't know what that is, but it makes it taste good, cumin, sumac, garlic, coriander, and spices. So just a little squirt of this in there. It's a paste, so just a little bit. And what am I missing? Oh yes, I went to the Asian market a couple months ago and they had chili flakes. And these are the chili flakes that people use to make kimchi. So it's strong. And even handling with my fingers makes my fingers a little bit have the heat from them. But I like to put a tiny bit of this in on nights where I want a little bit more heat. Okay, so we have the rice cooking at the moment. Let me get going on this dish. And it's really simple. You just basically, I'll throw it all together. Okay, so I'm starting off with the hearts of chicken broth in the pan. Let's see if I can get the light adjusted a little bit to handle it better. Well, I think it'll be better once I have stuff in it. I go ahead and turn it on. I usually put it on like a, I don't know. I like to cook fast, so I usually put it on like a 6. And then I turn it down later. And the good news about chickpeas is you really can't hurt them that much, especially when you're working with canned chickpeas. All right. So I will start off by just doing the basics. And you can use whatever order you want, but a couple cans of chickpeas, like I said, drained in there. And okay, actually this is a problem. There we go. The flame had not started. Ooh, I was wondering why I was smelling gas. That's not good. Okay. Now we're cooking. All right, so we've got that. We've got the 2 chickpeas in. I usually save the tomato till last. Put in, you know, just a couple shakes of onion powder, or maybe like half of a diced onion. A couple shakes of garlic. Really, just whatever your preference for taste is. A couple shakes, 6 or 7 shakes of cumin, because that really makes it taste good. A little bit of smoked paprika. I don't know if you can see how much I'm putting in, but it's not that much. It's maybe like, you know, enough to see it on the top. That gives it a little bit of a smoky flavor that my husband really loves. Then I take this stuff. I'm gonna turn the heat down a little bit because I'm a little closer to the normal. And I just do a nice big spoonful. Maybe even 2. Tonight I'm feeling spicy. I'm waiting for those bouillon things to melt in the bottom, the broth that I made earlier this year. And I might add a little bit of water to this, which is partly why, I have enough of the broth that I could do a bigger serving, but it takes a long time to melt in the big packages. So I'm just trying to supplement here a little bit. A couple squeezes of black pepper. And then, oh, I already have a dirty spoon. Well, do as I say, not as I do. Wiping off the spoon. Oh, that's spicy. And putting, you know, this is a big spoon, so putting like what's equivalent to a teaspoon in there. Maybe a little more, maybe a little less. We'll taste it later and see. All right, let's get the heat up. Get things thawing. You can see, I just love that it's heart-shaped. It just makes me, I don't know. Oh, I dropped some chickpeas. You know what? I think I might need 3 cans of chickpeas for this, although I don't know how much in the mood my husband is to have a lot of chickpeas. Oh, and I almost forgot. Salt. This is, what's the brand? This is Redmond's Real Salt. And I'll just do, you know, there's already going to be bouillon in it, so it's got quite a bit of salt. But we don't add salt to the, this is a wooden spoon that I really love to use, that I got from it was hand carved by somebody in the area. I got it at a market. And I'm going to stir this spoon in here again later because it's got a lot of good yumminess on it. But I don't have enough broth in here at the moment. Let me go ahead and put some of this tomato in. I guess I could do it so you could see it. Is that an ester hair? Oh gosh. All right. Yeah, it's probably enough. If it was chunky, this would probably be about right. It's probably a little more tomato than I'd like in it because it's crushed. But it'll still taste good. And then I'm going to put a little bit of this harissa in there. Just a little bit. Just a dab. All right, so basically we let this simmer. This is a little bit more liquidy than I would like because of the tomatoes being the way they are. Oh, I did forget this guy. Just a tiny, tiny bit. You do not want to add a whole lot of that. And it smells way more tomatoey than I'm used to. I think I'm gonna add peas to this. And that's kind of how it goes. So hold on a second, I'll be right back with some peas. All right, so I'm actually gonna do two things. I'm gonna add another can of chickpeas just because I don't like the chickpea to tomato ratio on this. I want it to be mostly chickpeas in a tomatoey kind of sauce. That's better. Okay. And then some frozen peas. I throw peas in just about everything because it's like one of those fillers that when you feel like it needs something more, but you're just not quite sure what it should be, put the peas in. Now, I very rarely put peas into this dish, so I don't recommend it, but I feel like without the diced tomatoes, I want a second texture beyond the chickpeas, and that's kind of why I'm doing it here. Plus, look at the pretty colors now. It's such a pretty color. Come on, adjust the color. Yeah, such a pretty color. All right. So basically, you cook this until it's boiling. You could throw a little bit of olive oil in if you wish, but if you're going low calorie, I mean, the only fat in this is the chicken broth, and maybe some in the bouillon. And you can just put this straight over rice. And basically, you could eat this like this right now, or you can, you know, wait till it's, I mean, you definitely should wait till it's boiling. But I need to stir in this one to get the good stuff off of the spoon. That's much better. Good. Let's see. Oh, it's smelling more like what it should. Yeah, that's okay. I think it needs more garlic and more onion. Maybe more cumin. Probably because I added, wait, yeah. Probably because I added the other thing of chickpeas. It took away some of the flavor in there. Maybe a little more black pepper. I don't think we need more salt though. Okay. All right, I will check back in once it's boiling and show you what the plate looks like together. I'm gonna start by serving up the rice. I just do like a cup of rice, and it just ends up being about right. Maybe a little bit more than my husband and I need in the end. And if there's anything left over, I just have some with the chickpeas the next day. And since I don't really care about presentation being like amazing, I just use the same spoon. I'm going to be putting the sauce on it anyway, so what does it really matter? Well, I think we'll use it all up today. Yeah. I try to be even, but you know, I'm sure someone always gets a little bit more than the other. My husband likes to pick his bowl because he feels like he can pick the one that has more of the stuff he wants. I'm going to show you real quick over to the pot of chickpeas, which are boiling wonderfully. And see, I don't really care. Put that spoon in there. All right, I think it's good to go. And let me go ahead and spoon this onto our bowls. Now, normally I wouldn't take it off. Normally I'd hold the bowl next to the stove, but since I'm doing it for you guys on camera, that's a little more difficult. Trying to get a lot of the sauce in there. That's probably about right. Oop, that's the alarm telling me it's about the time I want to check on it. Yeah, that's good. And there's a lot left, so we can make something with it tomorrow or have it for lunch or whatever. And now I just put a little bit of extra pepper on top. And if I feel like it, sometimes because the rice might need a little bit, put a tiny bit of seasonal, but really it doesn't need much. All right, so there's dinner. Dinner served. Super cheap, super affordable, super easy, and actually really, really delicious. Yeah, so just get out in the kitchen and try something. Put stuff together you know you like and just see how it turns out. 99.9% of the time it'll probably be amazing. All right, that's it for tonight. Thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like button. And if you aren't already a subscriber, please consider doing so. And otherwise, I'll see you next time. Happy Vlogmas.